I was lucky enough to be one of the creators to be given an early access code to the brand new indie horror game from solo developer Connor Rush and his studio FYRE Games. You might know from previous titles such as Summerland and We Never Left. Having played the first couple of hours of the game, I thought I'd drop a quick first impressions review with a playthrough and a full review to come to the channel soon. So what is Project Songbird? Project Songbird describes itself as a first-person, cinematic, narrative psychological horror game, taking inspiration from survival horror classics like Silent Hill and Alan Wake. Plot. We follow protagonist Dakota, a non-binary musician, which, first things first, it's so rare to see a trans non-binary character in a video game. I mean, while I do enjoy seeing stories experienced by people not like me, it's also really cool to see non-binary representation in a way which feels authentic and grounded. Like, it's just really cool to see people like me as well. We quickly find out that Dakota is struggling with writer's block, and in an effort to help them write the next hit album, the producer suggests a relaxing getaway, isolated alone in none other than a cabin in the woods in the Appalachian Mountains, a region of the United States so steeped in folklore, cryptas, and rumors of things that go bump in the night that people have a saying: if you hear someone say your name in the Appalachian Mountains, no you did not. Appalachian folklore is a cultural melting pot of Celtic, Irish, Scottish, Indigenous, and African American background. All of this makes a perfect creepy stew for a horror game. I won't say that everything from Appalachian folklore makes an appearance in this game, but if you know a thing or two about myth and legend, you might see an unfamiliar face or two. In the dreaming, you also traverse through a psychological journey into Dakota's subconscious. Or at least it might be a dream, or it might be a journey into the Fey realm. I'm not quite sure. Either way, I'm very here for it, as it allows the game to change tonal shifts that make it feel like several indie horrors for the price of one. Gameplay. In terms of the gameplay, there's not much new to talk about here with Project Songbird. Project Songbird alternates between stealth-based gameplay and solving puzzles. Puzzles are always a refreshing sight to see as a fan of classic survival horror. One unique aspect is you do have to write Dakota's music, picking from various different vibes and tones to build up a scratch track. In terms of combat, look, I won't lie, I didn't get to experience much of it as I took the very brave standpoint of hiding and running. But the game does give you an axe you can repair and increase the strength of, along with bullets for a limited pistol later on. Combat feels like a last resort, not a crutch, which in this kind of horror is a bonus, as you know, we're hardly a trained combatant. So graphics. Firstly, I'm playing this on the PC edition of Project Songbird on ultra settings with the VSync off. And I'll post somewhere on screen my specs for my PC, the minimum recommended specs, and the recommended specs for this title. I've also decided to keep stylistic features such as film grain and letterbox turned on, but if these give you trouble, or you are more than welcome to turn them off. It doesn't affect the game too much, it just affects the stylistic quality of the game. Speaking of style, Songbird has a stunning cinematic quality that makes you feel like you're the main character in a horror movie. While the raw power of Songbird is limited, it's proof that style has more than enough charm, and hyper-realism is not always needed. Alright, onto bugs, negatives, and what needs work on. I found that at times some of the tools and items in Project Songbird felt a little janky or hard to use. Notably, the sound recorder seemed particularly finicky on when it did or did not want to work. Secondly, it was not always clear what the following objective was or what I needed to do, but that might be down to modern gaming and its hand-holding when it comes to finding the next objective, leaving me a little rusty with the styles of games that don't hold your hand quite as much. Overall, Project Songbird is a breath of fresh air and an excellent atmospheric horror game that really lets itself breathe and simmer, and honestly I can't wait to play more. I think in total the game is only about 4 to 6 hours, so it's a relatively short game, and I presume that I'm about halfway through it. Ultimately, I would recommend Project Songbird if you're into atmospheric, story-based games with a slower pace. I think there's a large reliance on jump scares in horror, and not many horror titles really let themselves breathe and really let themselves simmer and let the psychological experience really build. Project Songbird does, things escalate as you go on in a way that is deeply satisfying. Project Songbird releases on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X on March 26, 2026. I'll be doing a Let's Play of the series soon, so look forward to that. I'll also be doing a more in-depth review. If you enjoyed this video, do make sure to subscribe, because like I said, we're going to be posting a little bit of content about this game as time goes on. I also do play other horror titles. I'm playing Resident Evil Requiem at the moment, Call of Cthulhu. We mainly stick to survival horror on this channel at the moment, with a little bit of variety sprinkled in. I do hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.